When you're steeped in competition, what if your credibility came from very unique place? Hi, I'm Melanie Benson Strick, and I'm known as America's leading small business optimizer. And our guest today has something very, very powerful to share with us. Instead of feeling like you're bragging or having to really put yourself out there in all the wrong ways, we're going to reveal a very, very interesting technique to help you boost your credibility through the associations you may or may not already be involved in. Now, this weekly podcast series is dedicated to helping you learn innovative and unique strategies so that you stop feeling overwhelmed and feeling like you're struggling along or maybe even stuck in mediocrity, and really boost your ability to get profitable and skyrocket your success. And I bring you different guests from all over the world who have a way of optimizing your results through either their own trials and tribulations or strategies that they've perfected and are now teaching others. And our guest today is someone that I'm excited to bring to you, somebody I've known for a really long time. And I want to introduce you to my friend Robert Skrob. He's the president of Association Marketing, Inc. And Robert is America's foremost authority on authentic marketing through associations for increased credibility, and the joint venture partner you never knew you had access to, but wished you would have learned about earlier, right?
Absolutely.
So, Robert, thank you. Where are you calling in from today?
I live in Tallahassee, Florida, and this is my office, and love working here. It's a great environment, and just happy to be on your program, Melanie.
Thanks.
We've known each other for I think 2007-ish or something like that, and it's great to be part of your program, and glad that you're having me as your guest. Thanks a
I'm
lot.
glad it worked out. And you know, I got to tell you, sometimes when people send me their new books and their new materials that are out there, I get inspired. And I'm like, this would be
Oh,
great to have on the show. So thank you for sending me your book. And we'll talk about your book here in a little bit. So let's talk about associations and marketing through
sure.
associations. This is a business model that I think is really unique, and it's something that you've become quite an expert in. Why don't you tell us a little bit about how you decided to focus on marketing through associations?
Well, thanks a lot. Now, I've actually been in the association world for 20 years now, and been on the association side. And kind of what happened was back in '99, I was working with quite a few associations, and what I figured out is, it said back before in the '90s, if anybody had a question about anything to do with an industry, you called the industry association. I mean, now if you're over 40 years old, then you wouldn't remember that at all. But back in the day, I mean, we worked with the Florida Society of Dermatology, and I can't tell you how many people would call and describe their rash to us. And of course, as part of the association, we'd get them to a member within their area because nobody at the association office was qualified to deal with their rash. And I don't even want to tell you what the questions that we got from the OBGYN Association were. But nonetheless, folks called their industry association with questions. But then in '99, you had this website called Ask Jeeves, where you could type in your question and it would search all the search engines and pop out an answer. And then Google was on the horizon, and folks weren't asking and calling the association anymore. Instead, they were just going to the web. And all of a sudden, it really kind of undermined everything that associations were about. And that's when I figured out I needed to create new member benefit programs, new ways of getting benefits and services to our members. And I started partnering with authors, with speakers, at the time, life coaches. That was kind of a brand new concept, and other consultants and industry vendors, and having them work with my associations to provide a unique benefit. And for the consultant or speaker, they got a steady stream of new leads. For the association, we got a new member benefit that we could talk about. And it wasn't very long that these speakers and authors started going, "Hey, can you show us what you're doing here?" And that was the book and everything else. And so that's kind of that's 20 years worth of evolution boiled down to 3 minutes.
Wow, I'm sure you left out some juicy details in there somewhere,
Yeah,
Robert.
but I did include the OBGYN questions.
Oh yeah, and that was
I can
so
put those in
vital.
there.
Exactly. Got to keep the good gems in there, right? So, what would you say is the biggest challenge or problem that associations have that when they turn to you, whether they're buying your book, or going through your programs, or getting your consulting, whatever it is, what is the main thing that they're wanting to have happen?
Mm. Associations every year have to really kind of up the ante, because, somebody may have been a member for 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, and, there's some tradition involved in renewing your dues, but at the same time, you can't really count on that.
Hmm.
And one of the things that associations start figuring out is it doesn't matter what you accomplished for your member last year. It has everything to do with what you're going to do for them in the upcoming year. That's what's going to renew membership dues. You can't go back and say, "Hey, we did this, new law that's going to save you X dollars every year for the next 10 years," and expect that they're going to, kind of bank that money, or kind of footnote that's for you, and your dues is going to come out of it, and that they got a great ROI. No, 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 no. They have long since forgotten that. And so as an association, you need news, what is new and fresh that you can provide to your members. You need perspectives, insight, because really every association has to be the Fox News for their industry. So if you think about it, Fox News or MSNBC, what those are they take the kind of the day's news, kind of put their little slant on it and broadcast it out to their viewers.
Hmm.
And their viewers eagerly want that slant. They eagerly anticipate, I want to see what they're going to have to say about this. And as an association, you got to be that for your members. And so if you're in the plumbing industry, you got to kind of take the whole news of the day and take the key issues and provide that together with commentary for the plumbers of the country or the state that your association is for. And then also you need new member benefits, things that you could kind of dangle out in front of your members, as you say, Melanie, bright, shiny objects. In this case, you want them so that you can kind of hold them out for your members and get them excited about what's coming up and what's on the horizon, so that they'll go, "Oh, geez, these folks are giving me information I couldn't get anywhere else, and there's this cool thing I really want, and so I'm going to go ahead and renew for another year and keep the association as part of what I do."
So I'm hearing you say it's about retention. It's about guiding associations to really understand the ways they could retain more members while attracting new ones.
No question.
Okay. I think that's super valuable. We both know Jim Palmer, a friend of ours. He does a lot with customer retention. And, Dan Kennedy's work has been a lot about building a herd and, putting a fence around your herd. And so this is just another way to take a really unique niche and help them see the ins and outs of, how they position what they're doing and how to keep that life in there so people want to stay.
And it's interesting because I come from the association world, and I've been working with Dan Kennedy now since 2004, and he kind of comes, of course, from the for-profit world, but a lot of what he teaches is really bread and butter stuff within the association world, and the things about the customer recognition, the treating them, this was a Bill Glazer concept where he called all of his customers members. And even before, in his menswear store, even before he had kind of a closed membership only store, he still called his customers members of his store. And then he actually kind of created a membership structure within the store.
Mm-hmm.
So, what I figured out back then was, look, these associations that I work with, they've got conferences, so the associations have newsletters, the associations have products, and then Dan Kennedy and all these info marketers have newsletters, meetings, products. they're for profit and I'm in the nonprofit world. And so that's why, as you know, I've kind of branched out to some extent in the for-profit association side as well. But bread and butter associations, I've been in this world of retaining members, retaining customers for many, many years. And really, even the for-profit guys can learn a lot by studying what the nonprofits do.
Absolutely. And just for the record, like whether you are a nonprofit or a for profit, retaining a customer, and this is the statistics that our experts have gathered, is 10 times more profitable than generating a new one.
No
So
question.
there's a lot of value that we can take in from what you're saying here. And that is, when you know how to make the customers you have want to stay longer, especially if you have some kind of a membership model, it's way more lucrative and profitable.
No question.
Now, let's dig into a little bit of this new angle that you're talking
Okay.
about in your book. And what's the name of your book again?
It's called Your Association Shortcut. It's all about how to get customers through associations.
So, you're looking at a whole new angle, if you will, that for profits or other types of organizations can partner with
Mhm.
their associations or maybe associations that serve their target audience. Why don't you tell us a little bit about how that works?
Certainly. The associations are looking for new member benefits. And so if you can provide something unique that the association can promote, then the association will take that out to their members and kind of herald it as a new program. They'll take you and talk about how you are a new program for the association. So, for instance, most often it's just preferential pricing. You'll see where a particular there is in the book we have a case example about a gentleman who does marketing for nursing homes and assisted living facilities, and what he did was he took a video series that he had created. He offered it for $495 for the association, the state association of nursing homes, to sell on their website. So he actually allowed the association, instead of selling it for $495, to sell it for $395, and then he also gave the association $100 of that as kind of a little fee or a little prize for generating each sale. So the association got $100, the member saved $100, and then the marketer at a for-profit company got customers and $295 every time the association sold the product. Well, that was back in 2001. Now he has 26 state associations who are each promoting his product as the solution for any of their members that have issues marketing, filling beds, filling rooms within their facilities. So he's become the go-to guy for 26 different state associations, and really, in 26 states covers 80% of the population of the United States. So he's got a great hold where each of these associations are promoting him, and he is positioned as the go-to resource for his area of expertise.
That's a total authority builder. I mean, it's
Right.
like, if you're coming out of nowhere with a new body of work or as a new business owner, or if you're more established and you want to create a whole new channel of business, this is a really great way to do it. So maybe like take us into one of your ideas or one of the things that you've seen that really will help somebody cut through the crap, so to speak, and maybe be able to open some doors there with an association.
No question. And I think, Melanie, you've got as much experience as I do in this because you did this as a career for many
Mm-hmm.
years.
Mm-hmm.
So you were in charge of marketing through associations for your company. So I'd also invite you to share as well, because you're no stranger to this topic. You're as so many other topics that you. One of the biggest mistakes that I see, working with the associations that I see that really hold people back from being able to create these relationships, is they'll approach me and associations by going, hey, you want to make some money? I got a great way the association can make a lot of money. And they'll do all this math about, if each member buys this little bitty amount, that the association will make this huge number. And I got to tell you, I get turned off by that. And if you go to other associations, chances are you're going to get you're going to be talking to the hand, and maybe you'll get here, you can sponsor, or here, why don't you exhibit? But you're not going to get welcomed into the fold.
It's not a very collaborative approach.
Right. Because
it's more pitchy.
What you'll find is that for making money, while it's important and crucial for the association, it's not their primary directive. And in fact, protecting the relationship that they have with their members is their primary focus and what they're really most interested in. And so instead, approach the association with an approach that is all about helping them foster a better relationship with their members. Say, I've got some information that's going to make you look like a star. We're going to help you solve these 3 problems that your members face. We're going to help them with this breakthrough. We have this great research information about what your members are doing that we can help share with the association. When it's more about helping the association build a better relationship with its members, you're going to get a much more welcome approach, and the association is going to want to hear more.
So what I'm hearing is that this is about really understanding the sales process, which is what is the criteria, what is the outcome that's most in the mind of the person you want to do something with you, and not putting your priorities and values on it, but understanding what their values and priorities are, and then building your case or developing a collaborative partnership idea that you present to them that gets them more of what they're looking for.
Well, and of course, there's no better expert on this than Melanie. In your days, you were marketing through associations yourself.
Well, when you say in my days, do you mean back in my corporate days?
Yes.
Well, so, just to make sure the story's straight, my days was project management, and we were really big on the associations we worked with were big public safety organizations. So when I was serving those clients, what we were doing was helping to build a long-term relationship, like you mentioned. But so we're working with state and local government agencies and public utilities and the associations that they were serving. So my big role in all that was to help create a presence that got them the visibility that they needed to their constituents and their members. So we did a little bit different, not the marketing as much as just supporting through loyalty programs.
And I think that's crucial, and that's terrific because, I often talk, there's, 5 different ways to market through associations, and we've been talking today mostly about only one of those ways, which is really the way that most people want to hear about it, which is partnering, creating an ongoing relationship with the association. But what you were talking about was simply participating. Mm-hmm. And I'll tell you that 80% or even more of everybody who works with an association participate is pretty much the only way they work with an association in order to generate customers, and that works for them, and does everything they need. And even right now, all across, from LA to Chicago to New York City to Orlando, there are folks that are at association events that have a presence there that are being able to be seen and interact with their target customers, that are able to ask questions and get information about what their target customers are thinking and doing, and are able to get customers, and whether their competitors are there or not, they have the opportunity to be at those association meetings. And I think it's a brilliant dimension, and something that I know you've got a lot of experience in, but just having a presence is a crucial way to get customers through associations.
Robert, I cannot believe you remembered that story, by the way. I barely remembered that. It was like 20 years ago. And when you asked me that, I'm like, what on earth? Oh, I know what he's talking about. That's funny. Well, and what's really interesting about what you're saying is, and I don't even think I realized it until you just said this, is that way of partnering with people has always stayed with me, is to look at how do you invest in the relationship and give somebody what is on the top of their mind, and create that rapport so that you can find a place to collaborate and come out the other end in a win-win way. And I've done that over and over and over again as an entrepreneur.
Right.
I'm on the executive leadership team of Women's Speakers Association, and it started from a collaborative, what can I do to show up and give my name and my brand, a presence to your group. And I think most people forget, sometimes it's okay to pay to play. Sometimes
Right.
it's okay to sponsor, to build the relationship. Sometimes it's okay to give first, get known, and then find what it is that the other person can bond with you and connect with you on, and you really can give a better solution in that partnership over the long term. That's
No
my two
question.
cents.
And no question, and it's the Zig Ziglar quote that says, you give enough people what they want, you'll have no problem getting what you want.
Absolutely.
And the associations doing all the work of pulling together your top prospects. They sent out the member notice, they went and figured out a place to have the event. They promoted, come one, come all, hear ye, we're going to get together on this date and time. And so all you have to do is show up, and you got a room full of your top prospects. And so to chip in the ante in order to get in that room, you know what, it can be well worth it and very lucrative for you versus trying to cold call each of those people to try to get an opportunity to speak with them on the phone. Instead, you go there, you can show your expertise, you can show how much you care about them, learn something you may not have ever known
Yep.
about before, and generate some sales. Or you can be in that room and figure out that those folks aren't your target customer and they aren't going to buy from you, and you can go fish in a different pond next week and move on. And
Yeah.
so either way, you can fish or cut bait and move on. And it's a much faster way to go than a lot of these other kind of sending out tweets and hoping maybe somebody somewhere important reads it and does something on it.
Well, in my experience, anytime you have a credible authority organization or person who can stand next to you and give testimonial that you're a credible authority, you're going to be able to develop much better sales than just the cold approach of like throw social media tweets out and stuff. It works for some people, but it's definitely a better in the long run to have those partnerships showcase you and
No
open those
question.
doors.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting, the thing about the associations is that the members are paying to participate.
Right.
And so, while, they might, delete every third email, or they might not pay that close attention to the magazine as we'd like them to, the reality is they're paying a lot closer attention to that than they are social media because they're paying for this.
Yeah.
Whereas the Twitter feed they're not paying for. And this is, cuts all generations. The millennials and everybody are participating in associations, and in fact millennials are participating to a greater proportion than generation Y and X at associations. They're much more civically minded, they're much more interested in being part of the kind of the greater good. And so this is where your customers are, and it's a great opportunity to go get them.
Yeah, we could talk about this all day. We could probably have a whole weekend workshop on this, which you probably have designs on doing
We
at some
probably
point.
should. Let's do it.
Yeah. Talk about partnerships, right? But I kind of want to go a little bit deeper into the Robert Skrob mind, and
Oh,
you've been
that's
an
scary.
entrepreneur, and you've been an information marketer, you've been an association leader. You've had so many different places where your authority and your credibility and your expertise has soared. I'm kind of curious, as an entrepreneur, what do you see as your biggest challenge
Hmm.
in making it all work and come together?
You know, I think it's probably very similar to what other folks have, and it's simply getting the word out.
Yeah.
And it's so easy to to get frustrated or disappointed, or oh my gosh, the press would rather talk about Kim Kardashian and her newest exploits, or how round her rump is,
What bathing
versus
suit she's wearing.
exactly, versus talking about something that can really help people. And but so you can really get down or frustrated, or really understand that that's just part of the opportunity that you have. And so it's crucial and important to stay focused, stay positive, and continue to get that message out. And even though that it may seem like there are days where you're talking to yourself, you focus on the media that is going to help you reach your audience. You focus on communication that's really getting to your best customer, and continue to beat that drum.
Yeah.
That's the key. And even as long as I've been at it, if it's possible for people to ignore you, they're gonna ignore you, and you've got to be the person that just doesn't allow them to ignore you.
Have the bigger voice.
hmm Or show up in a completely unique and different way from everybody else, so that that you have a different voice in and amongst all of the kind of the mumble that they hear.
Okay. So let's talk about optimizing for a minute.
Okay.
Optimizing is the idea that you figure out something that works, and it makes your business work 10 times better, but you don't have to put as much effort and energy into it anymore. Have you had one of those strategies reveal itself to you along the way that, if you could optimize this area of your business, it would make everything work better?
Yeah, I think the marketing and probably the customer. The thing that I work on the most are the customer generation systems, and then the value, the things that build the value of the customers. And that's one of the areas that I see as the greatest opportunity in the information marketing space and the association space. Is folks, they'll get a list of emails, and then they'll go, all right, now how do I get money from this list? And they'll send an offer, and then that will have some relative income, and then they'll send a different offer a few weeks later, or a few days later, or a few hours later. And they're just not very strategic about how they maximize the value of that list. And what I've found is the best way is to have a structured sequence where with every new lead that you get, there is a set follow-up sequence for the first 30 days that you test and retest, and so that the new emails that you get today, you see what you were able to get out of them in value 30 days from now, and then compare that with the next new sequence. And you put in a sequence of webinars, or follow-up emails, or drop-down offers, or bonus sales, and all of them are pre-structured in advance, so you know what they are. And then they simply get that over the first 30 days. Now, they don't know that it was not, oh yeah, we have a great sale, but so for the first kind of 30 days, they don't get the general emails that you might be sending to your overall list, but instead they're getting a focused, structured process to convert them into a customer. And then once they become a customer at any of those offers, they get a separate structured follow-up sequence to maximize their value. And that's the goal and opportunity that I find that most folks really aren't working on, and that could really help them transform this, kind of promotion of the day concept to a real more structured business that allows them for 30 days to kind of set it and forget it, then go evaluate their results, tweak it, and then come back a month later and really see what they've done.
Yeah, so what I'm hearing is that there's a lot of value in profit boosting by figuring out how to make sure that first 30 days of contact with someone and that first 30 days of relationship building is working at the optimum level.
Correct.
And I didn't learn that for a long time. That was a really big lesson for me. And it was studying people like you and other people who are really masterful at what we might call the membership mentality and the membership, strategy, that I started to really look at the whole thing differently and say, if we're not wowing people and really connecting and engaging them in those first 30 days, they're going to feel lost. I had to do a lot of work to get that to work better, because it's so much easier just to get new stuff out there and then go off to the next big fun thing, right?
Yeah, I mean, and you talk about it as bright, shiny objects that, the entrepreneur, one week is focused on one shiny object, and then there's a new shiny object that they want to get in front of the customer. And the thing is these new folks are new to you, so they haven't seen last week's shiny object or last year's shiny object.
Right.
And I actually figured this out from looking at BizOp follow-up sales sequences. So if you go to a BizOp magazine, Working at Home or some magazine, and you ask for information, they're going to send you a follow-up sequence for about 30 days of trying to get you to make a sale.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, I really need to apply that to all of my leads. And because what they found is if you don't buy after 30 days, it's really, the ROI isn't really there. We think, oh, well, we'll just send them emails till they die. And that's really not going to work for you long term. Simply the ego boost of having this huge email list really isn't worth the work. It's much better to build a relationship. If they're not going to buy within the 30 days, they're probably not going to buy. You can stick them on an e-zine list or something like that. But most of that should be about building a relationship. But the first 30 days is your really golden opportunity to make a sale.
Yeah. This is my experience. I've had a slightly different experience, but I think you're onto something here, and that is that your sweet spot, the person who's going to jump in that first 30 days, they have the problem and they know they have the problem. You're literally basically building rapport and a case for why they should buy from you. In my experience, anybody that's bought later, they either didn't know they had the problem or I hadn't been talking about their most pervasive problem yet. And when I got to that part of the problem, they're like, oh my God, Melanie gets me. And so I've actually had people who haven't bought from me for a year or two, and that's just because I hadn't been focusing on whatever that was yet.
Right.
But I'm different in the sense that I solve a lot of different problems and not everybody does. So I think if you're more of a one problem pony, if you will, one trick pony, or, you really have a set offering, those first 30 days are crucial. And it also says a lot about who you're marketing to and your pool, right?
I like the one problem pony.
Yeah, you like that? We should trademark that. Are you a one problem pony? Well, we've just covered so much great stuff. And before we wrap up, I'd really like to know something that I think is kind of more on the personal side for people. And, I think we're all inspired differently. This game called entrepreneurship, we have to keep our inspiration on the right things, or it's easy to, get frustrated and, fall out of the game. But do you have a mantra or a quote or something that keeps you inspired?
Actually, I do, and I keep this by my desk. It's a Theodore Roosevelt quote, and it's something that I embrace and really think about quite often. It's not the critic who counts, not the man who points out how the strong man stumbles, or where the doer of deeds could have done them better. The credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood, who strives valiantly, who errs, who comes up short again and again, because there is no effort without error and shortcoming. Because who does actually strive to do the deeds, who knows great enthusiasms, the great devotions, who spends himself in a worthy cause, who at best knows in the end the triumph of high achievement, and who at the worst, if he fails, at least fails while daring greatly, so that his place shall never be with those cold and timid souls who neither know victory nor defeat. And it's easy, because even on Amazon.com, I'll get a 1 star or 2 star review on the book, and it's easy to go, darn, what, they didn't even understand, or hey, that was about shipping on Amazon, not about the book itself, that really wasn't right. And it's easy to get frustrated about critics because there will be people who take great pride for whatever reason in tearing you down and just because you're there. It's not really anything about you. That's just how they are. And so you don't really care about those timid souls. And it's all about doing and being in the fight, and that's where the victory lies. And so that's something that I've just always really embraced, and it's been very important to me. And I appreciate the opportunity to share with your folks.
Thanks, Robert. You brought up such a great idea. It's an area that I think many of us have untapped joint ventures in general, but to think about bringing them to the associations and how to really do that, I want to highly recommend that as you're listening in today, get into some action, go grab Robert's book. It's going to turn some light bulbs on. It's going to simplify this process. You can get it on Amazon. You can also get it on Robert's website, which we've got here, the link below. And, doing the things that will expand your reach through the least amount of effort is the whole point of optimizing. And this
No
is a
question.
great one to do. So, Robert, thanks so much. And thanks for tuning in today, guys. Come back next week. We'll have another great session with another powerful and extraordinary leader who's going to show you how to optimize. And if you've had an aha today or love something that you've taken out of today's session, love to hear it on the blog at melaniebensonstrick.com or here on iTunes. Where you can just go in the comments and give us a little shout out. Let us know what you like today. All right. Bye, everyone.